The storm hit the northern night like a hammer. The retreat was sold as a test of isolation and survival, but it quickly turned into something that no one was prepared for. Megan, a survivalist blogger, arrived at a remote camp in the mountains with 7 other guests. None of them knew the true nature of the event. They accepted the invitation as a unique test of endurance. The retreat was advertised as an authentic experience with no staff or fixed schedules. The reality that greeted them was far from ordinary. Therefore, each member settled in with quiet apprehension. The very first night, a heavy storm tore through the camp. The ferocity of the weather severed satellite phone signals, therefore leaving the group isolated with only their walkie-talkies. By dawn, one man was missing, with his tent untouched and his gear lay exactly as he had left it. The absence raised more questions than comfort. Surveillance cameras placed around the camp had captured him standing in the rain and staring at the woods, which after he walked into the darkness like a sleepwalker, marking the first night with a feel that something here was seriously wrong. During the day, the survivors attempted to use their walkie-talkies, but only static came through, therefore forcing them to split into teams to search the woods. One team discovered a single boot lodged in the mud near a creek, but no other footprints were found, therefore fueling a theory among some that the disappearance might have been staged as part of an experiment. Back at the camp, tension rose as with the inability to contact the organizers left no option for an orderly retreat. Therefore fear and suspicion spread quickly among the survivors. Arguments began over the possibility that the retreat was more than a survival challenge, but no clear evidence emerged to support any claim. The reality of the situation was a series of unexplained incidents that none could ignore. By the second night, another grim event unfolded. A woman was found torn apart inside her tent. The cameras showed no record of her leaving, nor anyone entering, leaving only a trail of terror in her wake. Her mutilated body appeared as if it had been dragged across the terrain, defying natural explanation and leaving the survivors with a brutal piece of reality. Megan tried to reach the event team through every available channel, but no one answered, reinforcing the notion that they had been completely abandoned. Every broken piece of equipment and every malfunctioning device pointed to a series of deliberate actions, but no one had a clear motive. Therefore, the group was trapped in a nightmare that could not be easily explained. 2 days later, while scavenging for food among the sparse remains of the camp, the survivors found the body of the first missing man near a ravine, but his condition was far from ordinary. His veins were blackened, his lips cracked, and his water bottle contained a thick, dark substance, therefore confirming that even their basic resources had been tampered with. A check of the remaining supplies revealed that every water bottle was filled with the same sludge. The contamination was undeniable. Their only hope for survival was quickly fading. With essential resources sabotaged and no means to call for help, survival took a brutal turn. But the pressure of the situation forced the survivors to confront their worst fears, therefore turning their fragile unity into bitter factions. Accusations flew as each person began to suspect the others of hiding vital information, but the reality was that no one knew what's going on. Therefore suspicion replaced any initial trust. 2 members left with crucial supplies, and even Megan's own survival kit was stolen, but the camp's original provisions remained and were found to be contaminated, leaving everyone with little recourse. When a last sample of fresh food was tested, it rotted instantly upon exposure to air. Its rapid decay defied normal expectations, which added another dark twist to the sequence of events. As the remaining survivors broke into factions, conflicting stories emerged about their time at the camp. Some claimed they had been there longer than they remembered, but others insisted that Megan had been present before the group arrived, therefore sowing seeds of doubt about every individual's account. A few pointed out that Megan was the only one who regularly ventured into the woods and returned unharmed, but that observation raised more questions than it answered, therefore deepening the mystery of the retreat. In the center of the camp, as chaos reached its peak, Megan stood quietly while looking at the faces of the remaining members twisted with fear and anger. She maintained a calm focus on the stark facts. Therefore, the only item that seemed to tie the series of events together was a broken satellite phone, twisted and scratched as if it had been intentionally damaged. Her eyes drifted toward the dark woods surrounding the camp, but every element of the night's disasters pointed back to that first violent storm. therefore suggesting that the events were a result of a predetermined design. Without a word, Megan stepped away from the camp and into the woods. Her departure wasn't a retreat into investigation, but an acceptance of the harsh reality, marking the end of the documented ordeal. The survivors remained behind, consumed by suspicions and fragmented memories, while Megan vanished into the darkness, leaving the retreat's true nature unanswered. Months later, a group of explorers walking through the dense woods discovered a battered camera beneath a fallen log. The device contained unfiltered footage, documenting every grim moment: the storm that cut communication, the disappearances, the brutal death with a gradual collapse of hope among the survivors. The disturbing footage revealed a chilling reality about the retreat that no one had ever heard of. Later analysis by independent reviewers confirmed that the footage hadn't been altered. The only trace of the retreat was the recovered camera, which told a clear story. A group of people had been invited to an extreme wilderness experience, but it had unfolded in a disastrous way. To this day, no one knows who these people were, and none of the individuals in the footage have ever been found.